So today I'm going to be talking about choosing flourishing thoughts and the importance of choosing what we think about. And I hope that you've got a pen and pencil nearby, because we're going to use that a bit later on, because it's one thing to listen, but it's another thing to actually, sorry, I can start again if I'm forgetting to be translated. Sorry, let me start again. So here we are at the second presentation on flourishing. Actually, hang on a minute, I'm confused. Sorry. I can just talk straight, can't I?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, sorry, I just got confused about working with someone else today. So let me start again. It's good to be here with you again for the second session of Flourish, and today we're going to be looking at choosing flourishing thoughts. Because it's really important to think about what we think about, and because what we think about can shape our emotions and shape our behaviors. And we'll learn about the interaction between those. It's interesting to think how we can transform our thoughts. Many years ago, 2,000 years ago, in fact, there was a man called Paul who was in jail in Rome, and he was awaiting execution. In fact, I think he was waiting to have his head chopped off. And actually, in human terms, that's a really terrible place to be, in jail, awaiting execution. And yet he wrote some letters to his friends, and the one he wrote to his friends in Philippi is amazingly full of joy. And he was able to do that even in difficult circumstances, because he focused on the good things that were happening in his life. And that's a really important principle for us too, because we can be like Paul. Whatever is happening in our lives, even when there's traumas and sadness, we can still choose to focus what we think about. Yes, we may feel sad, we may feel stressed, but we can also choose to experience the positive emotions that can help us to be resilient, help us to find joy and beauty wherever we are. And when we can do that, it's really helpful for our resilience. So Paul said actually in his letter to the Philippians, whatever things are true, noble, just, pure, lovely, and of good report, think about these things. So he was telling them, focus on these things that are good. You don't have to think about the things that are bad or difficult or painful. You know, when we change our thoughts, it also changes our feelings and behaviors. So I might have the thought, oh no, I can't do this. And then I'll have the feeling of being stressed, frustrated, or hopeless. And that's not going to help me do it any better when my mind is full of stress. It's going to interrupt my ability to concentrate. And that's going to make me feel my behavior will be ready to give up, less able to concentrate. And as that happens, I will think even more, I really can't do this. And that cycle can go around and around. But we can change our thoughts, and it can change our feelings and behaviors. I can think, I can do this. And that can make me feel optimistic and confident. And when I feel optimistic and confident, and I'm doing a task that's challenging, that gives me more energy and I'm more persevering at the task, my behavior changes because of the belief, the thought that I can do this. And then that cycle will be more enabling and empowering than the other cycle of I can't do this. So each of these areas can affect the other. I can think I'm a failure and give up and feel sad and discouraged and embarrassed, which makes me feel more of a failure. So the cycle can go both ways. Our thoughts can affect our behaviors can affect our feelings, and our feelings can affect our thoughts. But it can also work the other way around. Our thoughts can affect our feelings can affect our behaviors, and our behaviors can shape our thoughts. So I can think, I am a kind person. And when I think I am a kind person, it helps me choose to do kind things for others because I'm kind. So in this situation, I'm going to do something kind for the person near me that needs some help. And when I choose to do something kind, then I will feel happy, I'll feel hopeful, I will probably have a warm glow from doing something nice for someone else. I can feel more peaceful. And that makes me feel like I'm a kind person. I can do more of this. And that cycle will increase the behavior of kindness. So changing your thoughts can change your emotions and other people's too. I'm just going to give you a hypothetical example from my husband and I. So Bernie knows that I like flowers, and every now and then he will bring me flowers. So what do I think when Bernie brings me flowers? How will I respond? And how will that affect him too? Because Bernie could bring me flowers and I could think, what has he been doing? Is he feeling guilty about something? Is this a kind of peace offering? What has he done? What mess has he made? And then I can feel resentful and suspicious because I start to feel this is a cover-up. This is a peace offering. And so I say, what have you been doing that you need to bring me flowers? And when I say something like that, he's going to feel hurt and disappointed. Like he just wanted to bring them to me to give me some joy. And if I read into the act that he's done something that he shouldn't have done and he's trying to make peace, and then he can feel misunderstood, hurt, and disappointed. And if I behave like that, he may not bring me flowers again. But Bernie can bring me flowers and I can think, wow, he must love me. I am so special to him. And I feel happy and thankful. And I hug him and I make his favorite dinner. And he feels loved and appreciated by me. And he thinks, whoa, that was worthwhile. Maybe I'll buy Karen some more flowers. So the thinking changes the whole pattern of my emotions, my response, and that will also affect people around you too. So you need to be aware of when your thoughts are changing your feelings and your behavior and the effect they're having on other people to help them or to drag them down as well. So we can see that what we think makes a big difference in what we do and how we relate to others. So it's really important to think about what is our thought food. Notice the thoughts that make you feel overwhelmed. What are the things that you think and you just feel, oh no, I'm exhausted, I can't do this, this is too stressful. So many people are watching the news, especially when there's a big trauma or a war or COVID, and they watch the news every day to see what's going on, but it doesn't make them feel good. It makes them feel worse and more anxious. And this is part of the pandemic we have now of anxiety around us, because people have been feeding their minds with things that will make them anxious, like the bad news that there is out there. So you can just read the headlines and get an overview of what is happening rather than reading all the details, which can make you feel more anxious. You know, when we choose what to eat, we choose not to eat food that makes us feel sick. So don't feed your mind with information that makes you feel down or anxious, because there's several websites that specialize in uplifting news. And if you Google for good news in your language, in your country, you can often find networks that specialize in just good and uplifting news that when you read it, you'll go, wow, that's amazing. Maybe it's latest positive research, or someone who's been incredibly kind, or a businessman who has given a lot of money for a special project. So feed your mind on thoughts that build you up and don't tear you down and add to your anxiety. Often when we feel weighed down by draining and negative emotions, we just need to hit the pause button and just go, let's just stop. I'm feeling overwhelmed here by all these draining and negative emotions. I'm feeling tired, I'm feeling anxious and stressed. It's not helping me right now. So take a break, give yourself a brain break, a pause or a refresh, and think about something good and positive in your life. You can even do a puzzle on your phone or look at something funny. Give your brain a break from all that anxiety and do something that can reset it again. So maybe take 5 or 10 minutes out of your busy, stressful situation, go for a walk, jump around, do some exercise, dance to your favorite tune, something that will help your brain to engage with different chemicals and hormones and help you to feel better again. Or read something that encourages you. Something that can be very helpful when you have a lot of challenging thoughts going on in your head, and that is often really helpful for people who have been through a trauma or a difficult experience, is to sort out your thoughts. So when I work with people who have been through major traumas or have a lot of challenging thoughts in their mind, what we do is we don't leave them there, because when they're just running around in our head, they're in one big muddle, and it's very difficult for us to unravel them, to clear our thinking, because all of these difficult thoughts are bumping into each other, racing around in our heads and distracting us from experiencing the joy of now. So one way you can deal with this is to sort your thoughts. It basically declutter your mind. And people do this in different ways. You can write a list. But one thing that can be useful is to write each of your thoughts on a different sticky note or a different index card, and just write them as they come into your head, particularly the thoughts that come into your mind quite often. And there are recurring thoughts that trouble you in some way. So write each of these thoughts quickly on an index card or a sticky note. And the good ones, the ones that help you, and the ones that are not so helpful, just write them all down. And then sort them out. Make a pile of all the unhelpful, hurtful, and untrue thoughts and think, where did this come from? Is this useful to me? Does it help me to flourish, or does it hurt me and drag me down? Is this a message of loving concern, or is it a harsh and critical voice in my mind? And choose which thoughts just need to go in the bin. I did this with one lady once, and she gathered up all her unhelpful, untrue, and hurtful thoughts. And I said, what do you want to do with them? And she said, do you have an old cardboard box? So she put them in the box and she taped up the box with sellotape. And then I said, now what will you do? And she said, I'm going to take it home and I'm going to burn it on the barbecue in my back garden. So that's what she did. She went home, she burnt this box on her barbecue, and then she tipped all the ashes when they were cold into the corner of her garden. And she went back inside and she was doing the washing up, and she noticed that a cat came from next door and basically used those ashes as cat litter. And she thought this was so hilarious. She says, that's exactly what should happen to these bad thoughts. They're not helpful to me. I burnt them, I threw them in the corner of the garden, and now the cat is using them for cat litter. And she just felt so refreshed and powerful because the thoughts went in the right place. They were treated as they should be treated. And we can also gather the helpful, loving, and inspiring thoughts. So amongst that, you may have many more negative and unhelpful thoughts than positive ones, but amongst them, hopefully, there is some positive thoughts, some good messages that have come from your friends or the people you have been helping, or helpful comments that go around in your mind and help you at different times. So gather those together and read them really slowly, one at a time. Think, where did this come from? This good thought, this inspiring thought, this loving message. How does it make me feel? How does it energize me and lift me up? And then keep those positive thoughts in a nice container. You could make a poster of them, or keep them in a box, a little gold box that looks really pretty, a gift box or a gift bag. Or you can stick them around your mirror so that every time you look in the mirror, you can see all these lovely and positive thoughts. You know, I had a negative thought one time that was causing me some problems. I had this idea that I should do everything perfectly. I think it's a common thought. And I thought, where did this thought come from that I should do things perfectly? Like, that's not realistic. I know. I'm a psychologist and a psychotherapist, and I know that no one is perfect. And those thoughts that I ought to be perfect are not helpful. And they did not come from my parents, who certainly never expected me to be perfect. And I thought back to a time in school when I was about 9, and a teacher said to me, Karen, you can do better than this. From you, I expect perfection. And that message had stayed in my head. I'm Karen. I can do better than this. I should be perfect. And when I realized where that message came from, it came from a teacher in a class when I was 9 and I was doing maths. It belonged back in that classroom with that teacher, with the 9-year-old doing maths. It was not intended ever to be a message for my life. And now when that thought comes back into my head, I think, you can go in the bin. You don't belong here. You belong back that one day when I was 9 and I was doing maths. And that helps me to deal with it. So fun and lively activities can help you to think more positively. When I suggested you had a brain break, one of the things was to do some exercise, go for a walk, dance, do something, especially things where you cross the midline of your body with your limbs. So those sorts of activities where you're crossing your arms and legs or touching one elbow to the opposite knee, those things can be really good for your brain. They help it to integrate again because you have to cross your midline and be coordinated. So do your favorite lively activity just for a few minutes and re-energize you. It can really surprisingly refresh you and give you help you to get started again. So try that. If you're online now, you just want to give it a go. Try bumping your right elbow into your right knee, and then the left elbow into the right elbow, left knee, and left elbow, right knee, and twist your body and cross over your arms and legs and repeat whatever activity you're doing that crosses the midline for a few times and see if that helps you to feel a bit differently. You can also stop and think when your thoughts are overwhelming you, a time when something went well in the last week, however small. So think back to a time when something went well and think, what did I do that made that good thing happen? What did other people do that helped you with that thing? Were other people involved, or did you just do it on your own? And think about what was going on there. How can you experience more of this positive experience that helps you to flourish? Now, if you are in a group here today, then you can share your experiences and celebrate the good moments with each other. What I want you to do right now, though, is just think of something that went well and think about how that went well, what you did to make it go well, what helped you, how it helped you to think more positively, and focus on that moment just for a little while and think, what can I learn from this positive experience so that it can be repeated, or I can build on it and it can help me to flourish. Quite often our minds are full of all the things that we did wrong or we made a mistake, and focus on the times when something went really well and explore that. And just sit in that space and write down what you thought, what you were experiencing, what you felt in that moment. So I want you to pause now for 5 minutes and just think about 1 or 2 times when something went well, how that was achieved, how others may have helped you, and how you can experience more of these positive moments in your life. And then after a few minutes, we'll pause and we'll come back together and we will share some of the good thoughts and feelings we had when this good thing happened. So we'll just share the thoughts that went through your mind when you remembered something that went well and the feelings that you experienced. I don't need to know exactly what it was, but if you are with people and you do want to share where you are right now, you can share with them what went well and what happened and celebrate with each other. Go, yeah, that was amazing. I am so glad you had that positive experience. So just right now, we'll pause and practice and think of that time when something went well and what were we thinking and feeling at that time and how could we build on that. So we'll just pause now for 5 minutes.
Można długopis?
1 second.
Zaraz oddam. Halo?
Okay, I'm going to stop sharing for a moment and just have some feedback on thinking about the positive experience you had in the week and some of the thoughts and feelings you had when you go back to remember it. And because it's good to go back and remember those things and really pause and consider those thoughts and feelings. If you want to write them in the chat, you can. If you want to put your hand up and say something, you can. Or you can just hold on to them for yourself. Give you a moment in case you want to respond. It's important in our life to look for the unique times, the unexpected times when something went right and it could have gone wrong. And to focus.
Halo, halo?
Okay. So just want to have any feedback and questions on some of those ideas that we had. If you want to ask me anything about positive thoughts, we just shared a few simple ideas that are from the Flourish list of ideas that you can do where you are. The sorting your thoughts can be really useful, and being aware of how your thoughts are changing your feelings and your actions, and realizing that you can change your feelings and your actions. So any questions in response to that? Any thoughts? Yes.
Maybe I have a question, so if the day is really bad,
Chcę podzielić się radością.
and you see the bad weather, it's cold, and in your work you are not having a success and so on, so what is actually your kind of recommendation to do in this very stressful day? So what would you do? To open the window, to go for a walk,
Yes, that's a good question. And I think what to do is different for each one of us in those times. And we have one of those awful days and things seem to go wrong and the weather is terrible. And, it's not a good day. There's too many stresses. And actually, it's really important to find something you can do where you can just stop and pause and do a reset. And usually what happens when we take a break, do something different and come back, it gives our brain a rest from the stress and helps us to start again more fresh. If we just keep working at it because we've got to get it done, then we will probably be less productive and less useful, and we may make more mistakes. Our brain is sometimes like a muscle, like it gets tired from overuse and it likes to do something different so it can bounce back. And so going for a walk, looking at something beautiful, a lot of the Flourish things can actually help you to reset your brain when it's stressful, and that's why we have included them in this project. Also being aware of your thoughts when you're having a stressful day. What are the thoughts that are adding to your stress? Write them down and get them out of your head. What are the thoughts that make you to feel empowered and resilient and stronger? Write them down and focus on those thoughts. Sometimes one thought that helps is this too will pass. It's not going to be like this forever. But if you can think of something funny, positive, encouraging, make a list of all the things you need to do to get them out of your head and clear your thoughts. It's really useful to do something like that. and then to give your brain a time to think about what is lovely and pure and good, so that you can experience different emotions and help to activate the oxytocin in your brain, which can counteract the stress hormones of cortisol and adrenaline. And that can be having a hug, a warm cup of hot chocolate, going for a walk, doing a puzzle, different things that take care of yourself by doing something different. Don't just keep doing the same thing over and over. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Maybe I should buy a flower just for me, so I'm always buying this for my wife and the friends, but that's a good idea. I've seen your flower before. Thank you. Even small things, it's important. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Or, for some people, it might be a best kind of Belgian chocolate out of
Yes. Yeah.
thing, or share
Good.
it with
Yeah.
something.
Good idea. Yeah.
Have a positive moment with someone else and give them some joy too. The chances are they're also under stress.
Thanks.
Thank you, Thomas. Yes, buy yourself a flower or a chocolate bar. So now we're going to look at the next topic. So this is topic 3 in Flourish, and we're going to look at choosing serenity, choosing peace, which is connected with choosing positive thoughts, because that was also about helping yourself to find serenity through what you're thinking about. But there are other things that we can do to help us experience serenity. Here we have the 10 most common positive emotions again, and we see that serenity is one of these. And every time we experience one of these and we choose to experience it, it can help us to feel calmer, to feel happier. It is taking care of ourselves. And when we share this experience with someone else, it helps to take care of them too. We can share the positive emotion together. And then we don't just have inspiration or awe and wonder or gratitude or laughter. We have something, a loving kind of warm connection with someone, which is also really helpful. So serenity is a feeling of peacefulness and stillness, calm and contentment. And it's often quite hard to experience that in the world today. We're often rushing around. We have a long to-do list. We're going here, we're going there, we're stuck in a traffic jam, and people around us need lots of attention or help, and peacefulness can be very hard to find. It's important that all of us can just stop in the middle of all this craziness, whether we're an adult or a child, whoever we are, and just experience moments of peacefulness. It's taking care of you when you just stop and say, I'm going to put all the rush aside. I'm just going to sit here and be still. And even just for 5 minutes, it can make a big difference. So as I mentioned before, our brain needs a break. We all need time to pause and reflect, because I like this quote, my brain has too many tabs open. And I often feel that my brain has too many tabs open. And I'm not sure which page I'm on in my brain, because there's so much happening. And if we fill our lives with lots of busyness and we have no time to reflect, to learn wisely and to rest, then we don't think straight. We start to often do things that are less wise, and perhaps don't do something in the best possible way, because we're too tired to really focus well on what we're doing. Our brain can focus well for so long, and then it really needs to have a break. Some people say it needs a break for 10 minutes every 50 minutes. Some people say 5 minutes every 25 minutes, or different kinds of time differences and spacing. I think we're all different, and find the spacing that your brain needs, because if you push through the times when your brain needs a break, you really will not be as effective and efficient, and you're likely to be more stressed. If you take the time out to recover, then you often get that time back in your efficiency. So choose a special moment every day to pause and be still. It's quite good if it's part of your regular routine. I like to get up a little earlier in the morning and make myself a nice hot drink and just sit and pause and think, maybe watch the sunrise or just read something quietly, or light a candle and just pause and not feel I have to keep on rushing and rushing. And that is very healing for me. Last time we talked about bubble breathing, and this is a really good thing to do. And I want you to do it again right now. Take a deep breath where you are, and then imagine you're blowing some really big imaginary bubbles. This is such a natural way to calm your body. Do it again, do it at least 3 times. Another deep breath. And blow them and blow out again. And imagine when you're blowing out, imagine if you aren't blowing real bubbles, that you're watching those bubbles blow away, and they're blowing away all your worries. They're coming out of your body and your mind, and you're just blowing them away, and those worries like pop in the air. And then you take a deep breath of peace and love again. Let's breathe in peace. Let's breathe in something loving and take care of ourselves. And when you do 3 of those, usually 3 really helps me to start feeling calm again. I can feel my whole body relax. I feel much better already. It's really good to do when you're a bit anxious about a task or an important meeting or talking in a conference. Just do this breathing even without people seeing you, and do just a few really deep breaths with slow out breaths to blow the bubbles until you feel that calmness again. You will find for you how many you need at different times in your life. Another thing that's quite useful to do is to sit quietly and just be aware of how you are experiencing the world around you. Find a peaceful place to sit. It's nice if it is outside. And then just go through things in your head. Look around and think of 5 things you can see, especially things that you like to see. So look for 5 things that you enjoy looking at or that fill you with wonder. And so from where I am now, I can see a photograph of my grandchildren. I can see a bar of chocolate on my table. I can see my favorite mug, which says humankind. It says humankind, be both. I can see my friend outside the window going to her car. So name 5 things that you can see, particularly things you like. And then name 4 things that you can hear. You might be able to hear a bird, a child laughing. Right now I'm by a main road, and unfortunately all I can hear are cars going past. But I can also hear, as I think about it, some laughter in the corridors of my colleagues. So think of 4 things that you can hear. I can also hear, when I'm really quiet, the ticking of the clock on my desk. And then think of 3 things you can touch. I'm touching my desk. I'm standing on a nice squishy carpet under my feet that I stand on at my standing desk. And I can touch what can I touch? I can touch the fabric of my dress, and that feels nice too. So think of 3 things you can touch. You can move to go and touch them if you want. So while you're sitting there right now, just look around, think of the 5 things you can see, 4 you can hear, 3 you can touch, 2 things you can smell. Can you smell anything? Can you smell? I can not smell very much. In my office, it's not very interesting to smell things here, but I can smell the orange that I had for lunch. The peel is still in the bin, and I can smell a little bit of my fruit tea in my cup. And then name 1 thing you can taste. This is where I wish I could have a piece of that nice chocolate on my desk. So I'll just imagine I'm eating that piece of chocolate that I'll eat when I finish doing this presentation. And whatever you're thinking about, the things that you are naming, be thankful for what you can see, hear, touch, smell, and taste. And it's a really good focusing activity to help you be distracted from things and to help you to feel just calm and be aware of what is happening around you in a nice, still kind of way. make yourself a calm down kit. Think of the things that really calm you. What calms you? Okay, so watching waterfalls calms me, and I really can't put that in a basket in my calm down kit, but I do have an app on my phone where I can listen to waterfall, and that helps to calm me down. Listening to birdsong can be helpful. So again, you might have an app on your phone where you can listen to some bird singing or something else. It actually is helpful to smell oranges, lavender, and baking bread. Those are smells that tend to make us feel calm. Geranium as well. So think about the smells that help you to feel calm and cozy. Maybe it's also chocolate or a favorite perfume, or the smell of your spouse's perfume or aftershave, or another nice smell in your life. So have some of that sprayed on a little cloth in your calm down bag, because smells can actually be really calming and evoke calming images for us. Might want to massage your hands. I have some hand cream right on my desk where I'm talking so that I can massage my hands with it. It also has a lovely smell of oranges. And when I rub it into my hands and massage them, that helps me to feel calm too. I like to drink my favorite tea, and you can't see my mug because of my background. But that's really nice. So a good thing to do is to drink a hot drink, because you need to drink it slowly, or even a cold cup of water. Just the act of drinking and swallowing changes our breathing and helps us to calm down. Eating chocolate, that will always calm you down. And so it's different for every person. Maybe you want a candle, maybe you have a book of things that you read that is calming. So make your own calm down kit, or know what it is that you need when you want to calm down that will help you, because we can experience through our senses a lot of things that will help us to calm, particularly if they remind us of calm and peaceful times. Place your worries into the hands of God, or if God is not something that not someone you connect with, then think about someone who loves you supremely, and you can draw around your hand on a piece of paper and imagine it is that, say, the hand of God or whoever you wish to think of, and then write your concerns on the hand, all the things that are worrying you, put them on that hand, and then cut it out and actually give it away. Put it down somewhere away from you and say, I've written my worries. I put them in the hands of someone else who will take care of them for me, someone who loves me, or I'll just put them aside there because now they're out of my head, then it's easier to deal with them. And each time a worry comes into your mind, you can remember that you've already given it to God, or that you've put it somewhere safe, and you don't have to worry about it anymore. You might think this is a strange thing to do, but quite often doing something active that places your worries somewhere else and helps you to experience peace can be very helpful. You can even have another hand with peaceful thoughts, so you can swap your concerns for this hand that has peaceful thoughts on it and receive them back and help them to calm you down. So these physical acts you might think are a little strange, but they do really help some people to experience them more fully when they're actually writing things down, cutting things out, doing a physical action of moving things around. It can help us to feel more peaceful and sorted and settled. So on your own right now, where you are on the screen, I want you to get your pen and paper. If you have some bubbles, if you have something peaceful near you, then just use that for a few moments and blow those bubbles, or smell the nice perfume, or eat a piece of chocolate very slowly, whatever it is that you like to do. If you have access to anything peaceful, do it now and just quietly experience that for yourself. And maybe you'd like to share in the chat what you do that helps you to calm down, because we're all different. And I learned from the people that I talk to what helps them to feel calmer and less stressed, the things that they choose to do. So make a list of 5 positive and healthy things that help you to calm down when you've had a stressful time. Knowing what they are and being able to intentionally go and say, you know what, I need to experience some peace. I need to calm down. So I am going to choose something that I know will really calm me. Just do it for 1 or 2 minutes, maybe 5 minutes at the most, and help me to feel calm again. So make a list of those things that really help you. And when we finished, after a few moments, we will come back together. And I'd like to see that there are some ideas in the chat that we can all learn from. You might want to write your whole list in the chat or offer some other suggestions, because maybe someone on the screen today or someone listening to this later will say, yes, that one will really help me. I'm going to go and try that one. And while you're doing that, think how to put them into your everyday routine. Quite a lot of cultures have a peaceful, quiet time, and we may have lost these cultures and these practices. We used to have a British tea time in the afternoon, and where I worked and studied, everyone would stop together at the same time and have a cup of tea and a biscuit and sit still, maybe talk to their friends, relax, change their scenery and come together. And that was a good time. I know in Sweden, people there may have something called fika, which is a similar time of coming together with friends. Maybe it's a peaceful walk, or lighting a candle, or sipping a warm drink, or my favorite, letting a piece of chocolate melt very slowly in my mouth and seeing how long I can keep it there. So those are some things that we can intentionally choose to do to experience serenity and calm on a busy day. And so make your own list and maybe make your own little peaceful kit with the things that help you to feel peaceful. I'll be quiet for a few moments, and then we will I will unshare my screen and see whether you have put anything into the chat. And while I'm having my peaceful moment, I'm going to rub some cream into my hands. I have 1 more minute. Okay, I see there's some things in the chat. Let's see what they are. Some of them are in my languages that I can't read. But someone is closing their eyes for 5 minutes and starting to dream. So I hope we didn't drift off completely there, because we need to learn how to relax without going to sleep as well. But closing your eyes for 5 minutes is a good idea. Sitting outside in the sunshine, that's a wonderful thing to do, especially if you're from Portugal, I think. Listening to some calm music is always good. Try and make yourself a calming playlist, or go to one of the apps like Calm, that's a really good one, or Abide to find some calming visual images and music and things to listen to. Eating pizza, is a calm down thing. Wow. Going for a walk in nature, hugging trees, that can be really calming too. Yes. Listening to the water flow, that's nice too. Little stream going by, or the sea, and the waves on the beach, or the waterfall is a lovely soothing sound that helps us to feel sleepy and calm. So take these moments. Don't just keep rushing around. Make sure that you have these moments of quietness and stillness, because they're really important for us to have, important for the children and the stressed people in your lives, the people you're helping with trauma, just to have time to pause and be quiet and to find some recovery space. People who may have been traumatized might also need to do something in that space to help them calm, because if just to kind of keep at bay the thoughts that might challenge them. And they can use the sifting thought activity from the previous session to help them deal with some of the thoughts in their minds. So if you're likely to get distracted by your thoughts in your quiet time, then do an activity instead. So don't forget to keep a check on your well-being. Positivityratio.com is a simple and quick tool to help you measure your emotional balance. That's how much of each of the main positive and negative emotions have you experienced in the past day? None, a little, a lot, roughly on like that. And then you can get a balance for how many positive emotions you have in comparison to your negative emotions. And you want to have 3 times as many positive to negative. So sometimes you might have to work at that to get that ratio, at least at baseline of 3:1. And 4:1 or 5:1 is even better. And it does really help to intentionally choose some things. It may only take a few moments to do it. And don't think, oh, it doesn't matter, I don't really need to do that. Just pause and try some of these ideas and see the difference that they make. And then just use the ones that work for you, because we're all different. And I tend to use the same ones over and over again because they work for me when I need them, and they really help me to rebalance. So scaling is making a scale of 0 to 10, like the scale at the bottom, or you can use a ruler or a strip of paper. And imagine that 0 is stress-free. Not sure I've ever quite experienced that. And 10 is super stressed and exhausted. I think I've been there a few times. So mark where you are on the stress scale. So maybe today I'm feeling actually probably 7 to 8, because the next 10 days I have a really stressful travel and speaking itinerary, and I have to get ready to go. So I'm hitting 7 or 8 right now. And then I can think, okay, so if I'm at 7, what will it take to help me get down to 6? What will I do to help me get 1 point lower on the scale? Because that's doable. If I try to get from 7 to 3, I think, whoa, that's way too big. But I can think about how I get from 7 to 6 and work on that, and then get from 6 to 5. And this scale is useful for all sorts of things. You can use it with people who are depressed and not depressed. Whereabouts are they on the scale? All sorts of things you can use. And make your own scale, choose what you want to measure, and then think, how can you get, where are you now, and how can you get 1 point closer to the better, healthier end of that scale, and do it 1 step at a time to help you rebalance. So we're going to pause now and see whether you have any feedback or any questions about this. And I would say, just try it, just find what works for you, and do take care of yourself and take those special moments of peace just for you every day. Even if it's just a couple of moments over a hot cup of tea, or 5-minute walk around the block, or just listening to something on your headphones for a few minutes. All of those moments of peacefulness will really help you to stay more balanced in this unbalanced world. Thank you.